What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. I do want to get to the recap screen, but I'm going to mention this a couple of times and once right now. We've got to 100,000 subscribers on the SportsLine YouTube page. You all helped us do it. Thank you so much for being a part of this experience, and let's march to 200,000. So at this time, maybe next year, we can see a 2 in front of these double zeros here. But again, thank you, subscribers. Thanks for being a big part of this entire experience. It's all family here. All right. Well, we got to get to some matters of Monday. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we bring in the stars of the show. A couple too many losses. We've had a lot of good days over the last week. This is not one of them. 3-6 overall. Sportsline pick comes in. My pick comes in. Danny goes 1 for 2, but otherwise not a day to celebrate. But let's bring on the stars of the show. As Brian Grebin says, congratulations, KC3, Mark M, Gipper's Picks, Mark Thomas. Thanks for being in here, Brad Best. We got buckets. We got Mackenzie Brooks. And we've got a guy that you see all over CBS Sports HQ, all over CBSSports.com, all over Sportsline Social. It's none other than EK, Erik Kuselias. Erik, how you doing, my friend?
Not as good as you with the 100K, and I'm pleased. I hear that it gets you a $100,000 bonus, which you call pizza money, but I think this is wonderful that you built this unbelievable audience. Congratulations.
Yes, I do get that $100,000 bonus, obviously, and look, I gotta sneak that into my contract. But I'm putting it all on the NFL pick that I have later to give out today. Mackenzie Brooks, buckets. Let me start with you. Actually, I've welcomed EK, but normally I'd start with you because yesterday you did something you've never done. You did the INT thing, but you called it for both quarterbacks. They both hit early in the game. Your response?
See, my response is the joke is that I flip a coin. If it's heads, I pick the home quarterback. If it's away, I pick the tails quarterback. And this time I flipped the coin and lost the coin. So I had to kind of just wing it a little bit, which is why we went to both of them to throw an interception. Worked out in the end for us, so I'm happy to see that.
Happy to see that. And Brad Morris is happy to see EK on the EE on the Early Edge. I am very happy to see this as well. Loving the old school Yoo-Hoo chocolate shake shirt. You know you're going to get the old school stuff, the references, the music and movie references. You're getting that from EK. Mackenzie Brooks, last night was a pretty sloppy game. Before we get into our official picks, and we've got NBA, we've got NBA props, we've got college basketball, we've got an NFL play, soccer. Before we get into any of that, your response to yesterday's game, kind of ugly. Oh, is she on mute? Mackenzie might be on mute. Or maybe not. I don't see that it's on mute. Okay. Well, Mackenzie, we're going to come back to you as you work that out. EK, your response to yesterday's game. Wait, Mackenzie, are you back?
I think I'm good now.
Yes, you're back.
All right. My response is it made way too much sense to take the Rams. Like everything about that game, it was the Rams. And I was one of the suckers that fell for it. Props hit. We get our Puka Nacua under rushing yards. If anyone tailed that 2.5 with me, Mostert hits pretty early in the game. So yeah, definitely not what any of us were anticipating, I don't think, but sometimes that's just how it goes.
The Mostert call was excellent. I mean, he absolutely crushed that receiving prop. And we did give that Puka Nacua rushing prop a couple minutes of our time on the Early Edge primetime. So hopefully some people ended up playing that. All right, let's get to some official picks for today. Buckets, you're going to kick us off in soccer.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. See, we are unfortunately once again taking part in an international break. This is the last one until March, but it does make it a little bit tricky to find the best wagers here. But thankfully, we do still have Women's Champions League this afternoon. And if you have never watched or bet on Women's Champions League, you are leaving money on the table because this is a league you bet on if you love goals. I'm looking at the match between my beloved Bayern Munich taking on Vålerenga of the Norway top Syrian, and we're taking over 3.5 goals at -135. When we look at Group C in Women's Champions League, we've got Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Juventus, and Vålerenga. Bayern Munich beat Arsenal 5-2. Arsenal beat Vålerenga 4-1. Bayern Munich might win this game 8-0, but the fact that the over-under is only set to 3.5 for a Bayern Munich team that by themselves should cover this easily, Sia, this is an example of finding good value even during some of the tougher matchups here. Bayern Munich should absolutely wipe the floor with this club.
All right. Give me the pronunciation so I don't screw it up on the recap screen. Vålerenga?
Vålerenga.
I was close. I added an I in there for no reason whatsoever. Jesse Shaughnessy wants me to shout something out. DeAnthony Melton under 2.5 threes. Mackenzie, I don't know if we can go to you later in the show to see if the model likes anything on DeAnthony Melton from a 3 points made related, but interesting.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, take a look. He says major overreaction on the market. And we've got a lot of other comments and questions in the chat, which we'll get to. But if you want to make Bucket's pick, or maybe Jesse Shaughnessy's pick, or Gipper's picks, or Brad Bett's picks, anybody that's in the chat, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to some college basketball. We got to get to some NFL, some NBA. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. CLE fan says, I'm here still in shock watching the Donovan Mitchell spin layup. If you all haven't seen that, go on social media or YouTube, wherever you get your media, and watch it. And I hope there's a slow-mo by this point, just with some maybe music in the background. If you haven't seen this Donovan Mitchell spin layup, it is really absolutely beautiful. There was one other comment I wanted to get to, looking for it. Let's see. I'll have to find it later. There was a really good question in the chat, which I will find. But let's get to some college basketball. EK, you got some college ball for us.
Yeah, two big games tonight down in Atlanta. I mean, these are the heavyweight programs that had that kind of early season feel. And most of these early season field games between two heavyweight programs, there's a lot of overs, but I'm actually going to go the other way in the first game. Michigan State and Kansas, I'm going to go under the 151.5. Kansas has been a little battle-tested. They played Carolina. They beat Carolina. Everybody else this is their first foray into the deep end of the pool. But one thing about Kansas when they played Carolina wants to play fast, get up and down, so there was a lot of points. I think that drove the total up. Michigan State has talked all week about tempo, playing slow, grinding the ball. They had 52 points in the paint in their last game. They're not going to get that this time because the first game was essentially a tune-up. But they're going to try to slow it down and muck this thing up, right? They want to play like mutters, and that means slow. And Izzo's a good coach. 151.5 is a little high. Probably have to sweat it. Got to avoid overtime. But somebody at some point in time will have a dry spell, and that will help us. Second game. I like Duke. I'm going to give this 6 to Kentucky. Duke has better talent. For example, great piece on CBSSports.com today if you want to read it. They go through everybody of these four teams and their pro prospects. Duke has 4 guys projected to be picked in the top 25. Kentucky, none. Obviously, Cooper Flagg is the big name, but it's not just him. Duke has the better roster, and they have the system in place. Their coach has been at Duke for a while, John Shire. This is Mark Pope's first foray at Kentucky. Yeah, he played there, but first time coaching there. And it's sort of getting his guys up to speed, his transfers coming in, that kind of stuff. I think his team will take a little while to set and gel. They're going to be just fine. But early in the season, give me the more talented team that has the more solid footing early with a coach that has been through this. I'll take Duke minus the 6, and I'll take Michigan State and Kansas under the 151.5.
I mean, I'm going to be liking these Duke picks because EK, I saw them dismantle Arizona State in that exhibition game. And listen, it's a bunch of young guys, Malawach, Cooper Flagg, Knipple, and you're like, oh, it's going to take some time and that's just 3 of like 8 or 9 names we can go through. But it's going to take them time to gel. And I'm watching some of those highlights, and it looks like Cooper Flagg and Malawach have played together for like 6 months at this point. I don't know. Maybe they have. I think any response, I don't know. Maybe you haven't done any outrights. But Duke was 9-1 to win it all. And I just think this team is going to grow together as the season goes. It's a pretty soft ACC, but I think they'll be ready for the tournament. Do you think this team has a chance to win it all?
Absolutely. Cooper, from the straight, he's 17 years old. Like a lot of these kids come in as freshmen and they reclass or they went, PG. He is 17 years old, but he's got that sort of off the court nice guy on the court. He's got a little mean streak, which I like. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, he wants to not only beat you, but he wants to kind of break your spirit a little bit. And he has set the tone for the other guys. Plus, he's not a selfish player. You're going to have to tap him on the shoulder and go, hey, you got to get yours sometimes too. Don't try to get everybody else involved with your help. I picked Alabama to win the whole thing, but Duke was definitely, when I really whittled this down, and my final 3 or 4 teams that I looked at before I ultimately settled on Bama.
Another thing about Duke, a lot of people come into seasons thinking they're kind of soft. This is not a soft team. They went out in the transfer portal. They got some defensive guys like Malik Brown too. Like, this is a extremely well-rounded team. I absolutely like this pick. All right, enough about Duke and that Michigan State, Kansas under 151.5. Let's go to, you're probably wondering, why is Sia wearing obnoxious orange today? Well, there actually is a reason. I'm going with the Broncos. This is an early NFL pick. Broncos host the Atlanta Falcons. Now, a couple things working against both of these teams, if I'm being honest. Atlanta, pretty soft schedule. They played a lot of NFC South teams, and their defense is pretty deplorable, in my opinion. Broncos have tallied a lot of wins, but it's mostly against bad teams as well. But I'm really impressed with how they played the Chiefs last week, obviously coming off a really tough loss. The week before, coming off a bad loss to the Ravens, which frankly, you play the Ravens and the Chiefs back to back. I mean, one of those is going to get ugly for sure. But the long and short of it is this Broncos defense is going to get after Kirk Cousins. I think this pass rush is going to be all over him. And I do think the Broncos will be able to move the ball with Bo Nix. I think he's just efficient enough and he's growing just enough to be able to pick apart this Falcons defense. So I think this is a really tough spot for the Falcons. Give me the Broncos money line minus 120. Gipper's pick says the orange definitely represents Syracuse. Well, Gipper's picks, you might know. You see Santana Moss in the background there? That's evidence that I'm a Washington fan, meaning Georgetown Hoyas are the team I grew up with. So no Syracuse orange here, although it does kind of appear that way. All right, let's transition. Mackenzie, right when this show started, I believe it was KC3 in the chat, he was giving out all kinds of picks. He likes the Chiefs, maybe putting it up to 3 because it's 2.5 right now. He likes Washington plus 3.5 against the Eagles. But he also had some NBA picks. Hopefully I'm not getting this person wrong. I think it was KC3. He liked a lot of Klay Thompson. Now that's one of your 2 picks, but let's start with the Sixers and the Knicks.
Yeah, we got to start with the big game of the night. My Sixers taking on the Knicks. We got Joel Embiid back. We don't have Tyrese Maxey, but we got Tyrese Maxey light and Jared McCain, and he's certainly been throwing up his end of the bargain. So I like the full game over. Now, this total has been all over the place all morning. Was at 213, then it was down to 209. Sometimes it's clocking in around 211 right now from what I'm seeing on the boards. But if you can find a 209, certainly take that. I think this line is set on stats from last season, right? This is a Knicks team that is certainly scoring more than they did on the road last season. This is a Sixers team that's allowing far more points at home this season. And I do think that the Sixers can crack over 110 likely, which is going over their implied team total here with Embiid back, with Jared McCain playing the way he is. Now, what this team has an issue with is defending the 3, and the Knicks are the worst team right now to be vulnerable against from deep. I think they can certainly take advantage of the Sixers there, as much as I hate to say it. So I think both teams go over their implied team totals here, and we hit the over overall. And then I know I saw a lot of Klay in the chat. I'm all over Klay too. I think this is a great spot for him, the revenge game. I want to go his full PRA. I think this is a really good buy low spot for him. He has not been shooting well. He's barely cracked 13 points his past 7 games. I think he's 2 for 13 from deep the past 2 games. But what I hear is shooting, okay? The volume's there, and eventually it will fall. And I do think this is the perfect game for him to get right. And if Luka's not feeling too great, that's just more shot opportunity for him if he's not 100% healthy. So I think Klay can certainly take advantage of that. So the model has it at 22.5. It's not a ton of value here, but at minus 110, I still think it's worth the play.
All right, and did you have a chance to take a look at that DeAnthony Melton threes prop by any chance?
Yeah, we have him projected for 2.3. So forgive me, was the line 1.5?
I think it might. Yeah, so it was 2.5, and he didn't say what the price was, but I think he was saying take the under on 2.5.
Yeah, I would not advise an over here. I know Derek Lively might be back in that game, which could also make a difference here. So yeah, I think the under's in play.
Okay. We've got some hockey picks in here. Kraken money line. Bradley minus 11.5 today. And I know it was, I don't remember what the line was yesterday, but Tom Casale was on the show repping Bradley again. But I don't know if that line has shifted. Buckets, anything from a soccer standpoint that you need to respond to in the chat?
Nothing today, Sia.
All right. And EK, I don't know. Are you looking at the chat? Maybe not. But anything you need to follow up on?
I'm just looking at you in that beautiful orange, dude. Forget the chat. I mean, look at that Bronco orange, Syracuse orange, the smile. That mesmerized me. That's where I'm looking.
All right. I'll take the compliments all day. I think so. I want to get to, before we get to the recap screen, I just want to see, okay, Sox Nation asking if there's any Maction. No, not today. Maybe on SportsLine, though, later on today. So go to sportsline.com if you're not already there. Sportsline.com/join if you're not already a member. Type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. Again, sportsline.com/join. Winners is the promo code for 60% off the annual plan.
Hey, I'll be giving out some action on our network show today. I got 2 plays that I like, so good spot to tune in there.
Beautiful reminder. We've got a lot. I'm hosting that show 12 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. We've got a lot of NBA, a lot of college basketball, and thank you so much for the reminder, because Mackenzie and I have a segment or two, I think a segment on Maction where we're going to give out some model picks, I believe. So 12 o'clock CBS Sports Network. Check that out. Gosh, there was one other. Oh, here it is. It's Joey B. Sia's hair with Erik's t-shirt, winning the YouTube betting shows this morning. Outstanding, he says. All right. Totally agree with Joey B. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen. Those of you that are maybe waiting for golf, I'll probably have some golf picks tomorrow and or Thursday. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of weather implications with this Butterfield Bermuda Championship that we have to wait on. Broncos money line for me, speaking of waiting on, that's Sunday. It's -120. Sunday versus the Falcons. Buckets. Bayern Munich, Valorenga over 3.5 at -125. Mackenzie Brooks, 76ers Knicks over 209.5 at -135. And Klay Thompson over 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists at -110. Erik Kuselias, Michigan State, Kansas under 151.5, and Duke -6. Evan Radano says, love you guys. Smash the like button, says Proper Rocky. Absolutely love to see that. I got to be honest. This is so cool that we so quickly got to 100,000 subscribers. What I mean by that is just in the last few months, we've really gained a ton of footing, probably added 10, 20,000 just in probably the last, I don't know, I'm guessing 6 to 8 weeks. So really appreciate everybody kind of being in here and being a part of this experience. Can't thank you enough. Forget about the 100K subscribers. Just everybody that's in the chat, that watches this show, that listens to the podcast, that takes the time to review these shows on Spotify or Apple or any of those platforms. It really does mean a lot to us. So just a genuine, I appreciate you coming from me and the entire Early Edge family. On behalf of Jake the Snake, always crushing it on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. On EK, his debut appearance. We'll see him again soon. Don't worry. Mackenzie Brooks, Buckets. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. Have a great day, everybody. We rest our case.